Hi, this is Jason Fielder with the Daily Forex Report for July 21st. Currently looking at the U.S.-Japanese yen pair. This particular pair, we have a close down today, moving sideways overall. Definitely looking for this pair to continue with a bias that is sideways. Looking for this pair to move potentially as high as 95.00, possibly as low as 92.54. Look for some resistance around 94.39 and look for some support around 93.24 in this pair. Now switching to the Euro USD, this pair pulled back, moved higher but pulled back overall. Biased is still to the upside even though it closed down, and is starting to move sideways. If we get a close that's lower and still moving sideways by tomorrow, we could definitely see it continuing that trend. Now, look for it to potentially go as high as 143.74, possibly as low as 140.75. Look for some resistance around 142.50, and look for some support around 141.63 in this particular pair. Now, looking at the pound US dollar pair, this pair has closed down today, formed an inside bar. We could have a potential breakout. Definitely keep an eye on that. We are looking for this pair to continue moving sideways with a bias that is sideways. Look for it to possibly go as high as 166.70 and possibly as low as 162.66. Look for some resistance around 165.55 and look for some support around 163.81 in this pair. Now, looking at the U.S. Swiss, this particular pair closed lower today. It did move much higher and much lower, kind of pulled back and closed in the middle. Interestingly enough, it did not close below this session's low. Just find that kind of interesting. We could see this pair move a little bit higher during this next session. Bias is still definitely to the downside, though. Look for it to potentially move as high as 1.0705. Possibly as low as 1.0545. Look for some resistance around 1.0700 and look for some support around 10622 in that particular pair. Now we have the Canadian dollar released a rate decision today. It was held at 0.25% as expected, so it really didn't affect the market all that much. Going into tomorrow, we have the Eurozone, has the German IFO expectations for July being released at 4 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. Consensus is that things have moved higher from 89.5 to 90.1. We also have the Bank of England releasing their meeting minutes at 4:30 a.m., so that could influence the market as well. That's 4:30 a.m. Eastern time. That about does it for the news announcements. Now, what am I looking for during this next session? Well, the Euro-Japanese yen pair has formed a swing trade setup right here over the past 3 bars, completing it today. If you draw your trend line, we have a possible short at 132.66. The interesting thing about it, if you take this session's low, we're about 30 pips out, so that would be a great place to go to break even. Here, the second point at which we could possibly hit some support is at around the 90 point. In this one, this low is around the 108, somewhere in there. So between 90 and 108. If you notice, this is a range, and we've talked about this before. Typically, support and resistance come in ranges, not a particular price. But if you come over here, if you notice that this session's low and this session's low are both within similar parameters as far as hitting some support. So it could be interesting to see where, if we get a break to the downside, where exactly this market is going to break down to. How far will it go? The nice thing about that is if you take the 30 pip the 30 pip right here at the low, 30 pips from the breakout point or our trend line breakout, you can move to break even and not really be risking all that much. If you notice, this session's low and this session's low are pretty much the exact same. This one's a little bit higher, and of course this one's a little bit lower. The interesting thing also about that, so here's basically your range right there of support that could be hit if you get a breakout to the downside. So look for it to pull back or stop there. Now if it breaks through that, the next area of support, previous resistance that now would be support, would be this session's high and this session's high, which this, if you carry that on down, now you're talking about a 150 pip move. So this would be a good way if you wanted to look for at least 150 pips. Go to break even at 30 pips. Move your stop loss. Move your stop loss into profit when you hit this first area of potential support. That way you lock in some profit, and as you move through each levels of support, you're going to want to move your stop loss that many pips further into profit. When you break through it, at that point, you can move your stop loss to the first line of support there and just continue it on down as it moves lower until you hit this final price, if it does move that far. And really, that's going to take, realistically, that could take 166 pips, 175 pips. It definitely could happen in one day, or it could be stretched out over a couple of days. That's a 313 pip move just that day. That's one of the larger moves. This one, the full range is around 287. A little bit smaller range, around 200. So we could definitely hit that during this next session. So keep all those things in mind when you're looking at that one. Well, that about does it for today. Until next time, this is Jason Fielder. Good trading.